Giani from thecrazycraftlady.com. Welcome to our kitchen. We moved into this house about 6 months ago, and I knew right off the bat that the kitchen would be one of the first things that I wanted to tackle. As you can see, it's okay. It's not great. It is a small kitchen. This house was built in 1942. So on one side of the kitchen we have the stove and the fridge, and the other side of the kitchen where I'm at, we have about 10 feet of countertop space. I also know that I don't want to put a whole lot of money into this kitchen because I have a feeling that in the next 10 or 15 years this whole room is going to get gutted anyway. So I just kind of want, you know, a 10-year fix. So that means we're going to be doing a lot of paint. I did a color consult with Sherwin-Williams, and a lady came out to my house and we picked colors for the whole house, as well as the kitchen cabinets. And so I tested, this is Neutral Ground by Sherwin-Williams, which I tested, which I think might be our cabinet color. I've also been toying with, I went 2 tones darker on the color palette for a more mushroom color. Either way, as you can tell, our countertops are very beige. My paint color choices are very beige, and our walls are also very beige. So something needs to change. I think we're gonna paint the walls probably a whiter color, maybe do a backsplash, and I can do this darker color on the cabinets. That would be great, but then something with the countertops needs to change. Completely swapping out the countertops at this point in time is just not going to happen. So I did some internet research and I bought this countertop paint kit. Okay, so I did extensive internet research and I probably read 100 reviews. This is the Giani countertop paint kit in the white diamond. 3 simple steps, 1 weekend. It was $75 or $80 on Amazon with Prime shipping. So for $80, I figure what's the worst that can happen? We're gonna give it a go and see what happens. Here's my entire paint kit. 3 simple steps, 1 weekend. We're gonna open this up and give it a go. Okay, so we have instructions and a whole lot of paint here. It looks like it comes with a roller covers, a sponge, I'm guessing, so you can do that granite look. Glitter top coat. Okay, that makes me a little worried. I don't want glitter countertops, but maybe that's optional. We'll see. So steps, okay, 1, 2A, 2B, 2C, step 3. And then there's a little jar down here. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, 2C. Oh, for small projects. Okay, so I guess that's for big projects, that's for small projects. Okay, and then we have, I'm gonna start with some prep work, removing the caulking, cleaning, patching, and taping. So I'm gonna get going on that, and then we can have some fun with some paint. I started by using a razor blade to remove all the caulking from around the counters and the kitchen sink. Then I thoroughly cleaned the counters. You want to make sure you follow the directions, but I scrubbed the counters really well with a scouring pad. I was sure to get it in all of the corners and around the curved edges really well as just to make sure all the grease was scrubbed off the counters. Then I took a damp cotton cloth with just water, no cleaning solution, and wiped down the counters. After the counters were totally dry, I began taping around all of the edges. I used longer strips of tape along the backsplash area and then shorter pieces of tape around the curves by the wall. I also made sure to use special painter's tape, not just masking tape, so I could have crisp lines around the edge of my counters. This is definitely a step not to take shortcuts on. Take your time and get perfect edges. Then I went back and added a second row of tape just to further protect the walls. It's not in the video, but I also taped over my bottom cabinets to protect them from any drips. Now it's time to paint. The first coat is your primer. I was surprised because I was expecting white primer. I'm not really sure why, but this primer went on as a very dark black. Working in 2-foot sections, I used a foam brush to paint the edges and the corners, and then a foam roller for the larger flat areas. Working around the kitchen sink was a bit tricky, but not impossible. I was just very careful to wipe up any mistakes right away. Patience is so important here. After the primer had dried completely, it was time to start sponging on my texture. I poured a little bit of paint onto 3 paper plates. There was a gray and 2 shades of white. In all honesty, the 2 shades of white looked identical to me. Working in small 2-foot sections, you layer each shade of paint on top of one another with a sponge. I started with the gray, and then the white, and then the second shade of white. It's really important to use a straight up and down motion so you don't get a muddled or streaky texture. I cut smaller pieces of the sponge to use in the corners and behind the sink. I sealed everything with the glitter top coat, which despite its claim, does not look glittery when applied, which I was really happy about. I was afraid I was going to have glittery countertops. It creates a really nice hard finish when it's completely dried. Overall, I'm extremely pleased with how this project turned out. Taking into account prep and taping time, as well as the dry time between coats, this project can be easily completed in just a weekend. You do have to remember that this is just paint, so I will continue to use cutting boards and pot holders underneath hot dishes, just like I would with laminate countertops. If new countertops aren't in your budget, but you want a new look in your kitchen, this budget-friendly paint kit can't be beat. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to check out my blog posts at thecrazycraftlady.com, where I share my full kitchen makeover and other DIY tutorials. Thanks for watching.